Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you guys, everyone, for joining us for this very special Sunday afternoon live with none other than Julie from Cat School.
Hello.
Guys, we got to meet Julie a few weeks back, and we were just like blown away by not just how like smart and awesome she is, but how much we have in common. And we were like, we have to have you on our page so you can help train us. And so many of our beautiful cat, look at all the people jumping on, beautiful cat parents that really everybody wants to know, how do you train your cat? Like
a lot of people think it's not even possible, which is something that I've actually thought at times with certain cats. Julie, thank you so much for joining us. Could we start off by you giving a short intro into who you are and what inspired you to do this beautiful thing?
Okay, well, hi everyone. I'm Julie and I'm the owner of Cat School. And short background is that I started my career with dogs, and I've been a dog trainer and a dog walker for a very, very, very long time, like 10 plus years, walking a lot of dogs in Toronto and training a lot of dogs in Toronto. And anyway, I went back to school to get my master's in animal behavior so I could become an animal behaviorist. So I am now an applied animal behaviorist. And then sometime during all that, I heard a little meow outside my door, and I went outside. I was on the phone. I was like, oh, I hear something. I got to go outside and find out what's going on. And I found a little tiny black kitten. And so that black kitten, Jones, I wasn't going to keep him because I, of course, had two dogs that hated cats. So it was like, okay, what are we doing? He's staying in the bathroom. We're going to put him up for adoption. And that was that. That was the plan. And then he was just such a funny little kitten. He would, when we put him upstairs and we put a gate, and he would like creep down the stairs, the dogs would bark at him and he would run back up, and then he would creep down, and just kept going on and on and on. And at some point the dogs were like, oh, like, this is just, there's no point. He's coming back. And so Jones, once I realized Jones was safe with the dogs, I was like, okay, I guess we're keeping this little guy. And that was that. And then, of course, he changed everything I thought about cats, because like I hadn't really, we actually had a cat at the time, Mackenzie, and she would live upstairs because, again, the dogs were aggressive. So, like I didn't really interact with her. It was kind of like, I mean, I loved her and I patted her and stuff, but I didn't really think much about her enrichment. She was kind of like my husband's pet, my husband's little cuddle pet. And the dogs were like we had difficult dogs. So they were my responsibility. And it was like, okay, you deal with those dogs, you train them. And I just didn't have the energy to like focus on Mackenzie. And so like, even when I went to school to do my master's, Mackenzie stayed behind, and I took the two dogs across Canada with me, and my husband watched Mackenzie. So it's kind of like this weird division. But when Jones came along, I was like, okay, this little black kitten really wants to do stuff, and he wanted to do training, and he wanted to go for walks. And so I just started to do what I did with the dogs. And I was like, well, I wonder if I can teach him all the same things as I was training my dogs. So I was training my dogs. I was teaching them tricks every night for like enrichment. And Jones was always there. Like, so I just started saying, well, I wonder if he can learn these things. And that was just really how it started. And then I posted a few of me doing, like, I had a whole Instagram account with dog tricks, and I posted one of Jones, and like people were like, oh my God, how'd you do that? And I just started thinking, like, no one knows that you can train cats. And that was kind of the beginning of Cat School.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, I think the going thing is that we all say our cats train us, we don't train them, Right. But you spoke about enrichment and how important that is for dogs, and everybody knows that,
Yeah.
The thing that everybody knows. You train your dogs because it really helps strengthen the bond and the
mental stimulation too.
Yeah.
The fact that they want to know how to do stuff, and they
love it.
With you.
So do you find it the same for cats? Like, why do you think it is so important for us to be able to train our cats?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really exactly the same thing, because like I know with my dogs, I was trying to help them, cope. And like Toronto is a big city, and they had a lot of triggers, and it was difficult to walk them. And I was always trying to find easy forms of enrichment. So clicker training, which is what I'll talk about more about later, but that was like one of the ways that I could enrich their life and like also help them go to sleep after like 15 minutes of doing it. I was always like, wow, this is like really like, it's the kind of tired I wanted out of the dogs. They would like be so happy and so engaged, but then after they would just they would rest. And it was so nice having this way to tire them out. So it seems so perfect for an indoor cat. Like, they don't get that much activity and enrichment, and I could do something for 10 15 minutes and feel like I had totally enriched my cat's life. In the end, like, this just felt like perfect. So I that was like one of the things that I was like so interested in, because I know it's such a struggle to like enrich an indoor cat's life. Like, it's hard, some of us live in small spaces. My space is 750 square feet. It's small, and there's just not a lot of room to do a lot of stuff. Like, people are saying, I'll have 3 litter boxes. Like, where in my house? Like, it's just small. And so clicker training is this like thing. It doesn't take up a lot of space. Like, even in our last house, I would actually, if you watch some of my videos, they're in the bathroom. Like, I would train the cat in the bathroom, and I could do so much in the small space. So it's just like perfect. It's really a perfect way to give an indoor cat what they need when there's just not that many options, especially like a lot of people have cats that don't play. And that becomes a problem too, like, sure, it'd be awesome if I could stand there with a toy and my cat got tired, but that's just not the case with a lot of cats, and mine isn't that playful.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is your thought on that as far as like the cats? Do you find it to be kind of dependent on personalities, or is this something that over time you can really engage any cat in being stimulated and enriched by training?
Even those that lie to us and say they don't like to play.
Well, I mean, clicker training is very much based on food motivation. So if you have a cat who likes food, and we can always play with building a cat's food motivation, but I think people whose cats are naturally food motivated will be drawn to it because it's so easy. They know their cat will work for food, and so it's natural to like, okay, my cat's eat. It's like kind of like one of those things. If you're good at it, you're going to do more of it. If you see your cat learning fast, you're like, okay, we got to do more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do believe every cat can learn if the person wants to kind of like put the building blocks in of figuring out their cat's food motivation and taking the time to figure out what rewards work and all that stuff. But it is work,
Yeah.
So.
Well, as it is with dogs too, right? I like that you said that because that is a question we get on the daily basis, probably like multiple times per day, is how do I make my cat sleep at night? And because like they're just keeping them up. Like their parent up all night long. And I love this idea because, we always say, play with them, feed them right before bed, let them sleep. But this type of engagement.
Oh, it's just amazing. Like, yeah, people always say like, oh, I tried playing with my cat. But when you think about it, like, my husband plays sports late at night. He'll go play like ultimate frisbee and he'll come home at 10. And then I hear him shuffling downstairs and he's watching TV. Like, you don't just go to sleep after that adrenaline is going, right? It's hard. So, I mean, I think that with play, it's the same, with our cats play, we just expect like they're going to be tired after. Sometimes you just get them more worked up. So training is the exact opposite. Training really is like, you're giving your cat a math problem before bed and they're like, oh, I'm so tired. This is it. I'm done.
That's awesome though. I mean, that mental stimulation, when you think about it, that's.
I know it works. I think the hardest part is like, you're tired at night too. And you don't want to turn your brain on and say, okay, I got to focus. I got to concentrate and figure out. That's the harder part. I know it works. The hard part is getting people like to start training their cat at 9 o'clock at night so you got to have the easy games that you kind of go to, easy tricks and games that you're working on. So you don't have to think too hard.
Well, I mean, my advice for people would be, just like train yourself to have that time if you put it on your schedule. And then, your cat's going to go to sleep and you have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And then you're bed, right?
That's your reinforcement for doing your training. It's
exactly.
My trick is, so I brush my cat's teeth and I do it at night. And if I don't, I feel really guilty because I really believe in brushing his teeth. And it's the momentum, okay, I'm going to have to do the brushing. I might as well start with something else, warm him up. Like, I'm not just going to get right in there and brush his teeth. I try to give him some stuff so that he gets kind of into the training before I do that. So it's kind of my way of forcing myself to do it. And then I feel amazing. I brushed his teeth. So
that is brilliant. I never even actually thought about that, but that is, you think about all the things that people are like, no, not my cat. No, I could never brush my cat's teeth. No, I could. But if it were, if we could couple this with a training, environmental enrichment, experience.
It's almost like a bit of a guilty thing too, because you feel bad if you've been doing it daily and then you don't do it, you're like, oh man,
That's why I can't sleep in on the weekends. It's like I really want to, and it's like 30 minutes later, and then I'm like, oh, but they're so great.
Exactly.
So it is super. I think that it's a lot of people are really recognizing the importance of enriching our cats' lives. But what kind of impact do you see training actually taking time to engage? And like you said, sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's tough. But what kind of impact do you see this having on cats?
Well, definitely the strong bond, because you're learning to communicate with your cat. So when people say they don't really understand what their cat is saying and what their cat is doing, well, obviously that's going to start benefiting you, because you're understanding a bit more about your cat's behavior and what makes them work. And like there was a funny thing that someone just said to me that their cat does, and I'm like, I totally, my cat does that too. It's like you ask them to do a trick or something, and they're like, no, how about we work on this instead? And it's that kind of stuff and that's just one example, but there's so many others like that, where your cat starts saying, well, I don't really like that one, but let's do this. And then they'll go. And so say you're working on 2 skills, like you have the backpack, and then you've taught your cat to go sit on a mat, and you put the backpack out and you're like, go in there. And they're like, no, but I'll go sit on my mat, like that kind of thing. And it's really funny, and it's really cute to see them kind of like have this level of control where they're saying, well, I don't really want to do that. And they're communicating with you. They're saying, I don't really like that one. Well, and then it's your job to obviously make it better for them, to make it easier, more fun. But it is like a back and forth communication. So the more that you do with them, the more you're going to learn about them and have fun with them. And
that's interesting. Yeah. Did you ever see that with training dogs? Did you see that dogs would be like, nope, I don't want to do that one. Let's go do this.
Not really. They're just so like eager to do anything. So they're like, okay, I'll try again. Just like, give me that little tiny treat. I'll do whatever you want, whatever. We don't care. But yeah, cats, I think, are very thoughtful, and they're, processing, and maybe some dogs are, I always say, like, I really think it's true that the differences between the groups, or whatever that phrase is, within the groups is not the same as between the groups. So like if you're going to have dogs that are really responsive to training, and you're really going to have dogs that are less responsive, you're going to get cats that are more responsive. So, I don't really draw a line right between of what dogs do and what cats do. But I do think that cats can be very thoughtful and like very choosy and manipulative.
Even when we're going through the training process with them, they are still training us, kind of.
Yeah, and that is true. And I mean, and it becomes game, and it's fun. And I wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun. I don't think anyone would. It is a fun thing. I think the hardest part is always starting. And then when you're there and you're like, wow, my cat's learning. Okay, I'm going to teach them this too. Right. It's like anything, we only have so much time in the day, and everyone's like, well, you should do 10 minutes of this, and you should do that. And here I'm saying, well, you got to train your cat for 10 minutes twice a day. You got to do it. It's like, well, where's the time for this?
Where's my day?
Yeah.
I don't have any more day.
But I do think with pets, it's different than a lot of the other stuff we have on our schedule, because our pets, like the way a dog will say it's time to work, it's time to go for a walk, our cats do start saying, let's do stuff, and they're bored, right? And so when you give them stuff to do, they're like, let's do more of it. Or I know, I don't know if you've seen people playing with those buttons.
We just got some, and we're trying.
Yeah. So, regardless of how people are teaching it and whether cats are really learning these things, we'll put that aside for a second. But what's funny for me to see is all these people seeing that their cats are lying beside the buttons, because they're engaging with them that's really what training is, right? Regardless of whether the animal actually understands that the button love or mad even means anything, okay? But the fact that the cats are showing up and they're standing around the button, it's really because people are starting to give them attention. And of course, they always wanted that attention in the first place, but there wasn't really, you know, a lot of opportunity for that because people hadn't seen these different ways of interacting.
Well, and I think that's one of the, and I want your opinion on this because I think that we can all agree, like, it's important that it really does bring a lot of enrichment to our cats' lives. But for us, I think the impact it has on us is recognizing how much these little, first of all, the personality, like you were just saying, how you can see their personalities more, the more that you engage with them and the more that you kind of see what they like. But the impact that it has on us is recognizing really just what a incredible little creature this is, that wants to engage, that enjoys our attention, not some aloof little
bored thing all the time. And I would say also a really cool thing about being able to train your cat would be, in my opinion, it would be that you know, we all have friends that come over and they're like, I don't really like cats. They're usually dog people or just not pet people in general, and it's like, don't like cats. But if you have them come over and you're like, look what my cat can do, and they see it, then maybe it'll start to change perspectives of, you know, what a cat is, because there is still a big myth out there that cats are aloof and that they are just like, you know, a convenience pet or maybe an accessory, right?
And even on a bigger picture, there's the disposability too of that. Like, you know, I've been to a few places where, like, different cities, and I don't think this happens so much in Toronto, but like where the cat kind of comes with the house, and if you move, you kind of leave the cat there. Well, he's with this house. We can't really take him. Like, where's he going to live in the new house? We can't really get him in a cage. We can't do anything to transport him. So he's just kind of like part of the house. And you hear people like, oh, we inherited the cat with the house, you know, and like, it's just, I think on a bigger picture level, the bond isn't there that people would, if they have a strong bond and a strong relationship, which training gives you, you wouldn't leave your beloved pet behind in their house.
It blows our minds.
Yeah, that is one of the more heartbreaking things, specifically about cats.
And we have to change that. And a big part of that is training. A huge part of that. So much of that is training, because when people think they can't train their cat, everything, I can't take them to the vet, I can't put them in a carrier, I can't take them with me. Like, it's the whole thing. It's all connected. So
have you seen this? You know, I know you've got a number of courses, and this is so fascinating. We're about to get into kind of the nuts and bolts of some basics, but have you seen people that you've worked with? Has it changed them? Have you seen
I mean, I think, like, it gets exciting for people to see that they can teach their cat something, you know, and their cat's being responsive, for sure. I think that, you know, and that brings you back to, like, the momentum. When you teach them one thing, you're like, okay, like, what's next? You know, like, I got to teach them more stuff. Like, certainly when people become, you know, ambassadors of training and they're posting and that's amazing, obviously, because that's really what I want. I don't want people thinking, well, you know, Julie has a really smart cat. He knows 1,000 tricks. Like, I don't want that. I don't try to be that person. You know, my cat's average. He's got an amazing personality, but I would not say there's anything like genius about him. Although I know people would probably say, oh, he's so smart. But yeah, he's just an average cat that likes to work. He likes to train. So I do think that once people see that their cat likes it and they want to spread the message, that's, you know, life transforming for me to see too, that, you know, people can get excited about it.
So exciting.
Oh, I love it. Could you walk us through? We have a question here from Madison on what is some easy starting some easy tips to start. Could you help teach us like some basics of things that we can do? I am so excited about this. Water spit.
The tools too.
So I'll start from the beginning, because I actually do start the same way almost with every single person and cat. And that is, let's see where this camera is. So I start with like a little cup, and I put a treat in the cup. And this is kind of just a fun, easy way to see if you have something that your cat will work for. And then I rest the cup on its side, and I want to see if the cat will try to get out the treat with their paw. So that's always like a good starting point. And when people say, oh, this didn't work, we always say, okay, let's back up a step. Did your cat do this? Did your cat try to get it out? And some cats will try to use their mouth, and but we have a lot of food puzzles that require cats. I don't know if you're familiar with like the Cat Amazing toy, the box where the cats put their paws in and stuff, but there's a lot of food puzzles where cats have to use their paw. So if people get stuck here, I always say, like, go buy some food puzzles and get your cat working to get food. And if that doesn't work, figure out where the food motivation thing is breaking down. Is it that you don't have enough treats that they like, or that you leave their food out all day and everything? So this is kind of like the foundation. Does your cat try to get a treat out? Your cat tries to get a treat out? Good. Let's go. Let's move on. We're ready. So once they're using their paw, then that's when the training comes in. So we want to let them know that using their paw is the correct behavior. So that's where this tool, and I'll just talk about what this clicker training thing is. So this is called a clicker, and it makes a clicking sound. So just one click. And we teach the cat that one click equals one treat. And this is the science behind training an animal, is that when an animal gets rewarded for something, it gets repeated. It's a fact. It works for all of us, humans and animals. If you get rewarded, you're going to repeat that behavior, right? So cats can learn that, dogs can learn that. It goes for us as well. So we want to show the animal when they do something right, they get a reward, and they have to value the reward. So that means they need to be motivated for the treat. But the second part of the clicker's job is, like, how does your animal know how does your cat know what behavior earned a treat? So let's say you're trying to teach your cat paw, and they're in a sit. They give you somehow manage to see that they raise their paw, and then you give them a treat when they put their paw down again. Now you've given them a treat when they're in the sit position. So they don't actually know if they got a treat for the paw or the sit. So the clicker does that job of saying, when you raised your paw, that's the correct behavior. So the clicker takes a snapshot of the behavior that you want to reward. So if your cat raised their paw and you clicked at that split second, then your cat's like, oh, I got a treat for raising my paw. And then that ties back to the beginning. I'm going to do that behavior again because that behavior gives me a treat. So the clicker, this little tool that's just, not very expensive, actually has a lot of meaning. It tells the cat, you did it right. Which behavior did right? Takes a snapshot of the correct behavior and then tells the cat they earned a treat for that behavior.
This is the most brilliant thing I've ever heard, because I cannot tell you how confused I am by the clickers. Like, when do you click it? like taking a snapshot of
The
that's brilliant.
It's like such a simple tool, but it's really powerful, because otherwise the cat doesn't know what behavior earns the reward. As soon as they clue in, oh my God, I get a behavior for that. I get a click for that. I get a treat for that behavior. Now they know which one to repeat. So they can start giving you. So circling back to this, I get the cat to hit this, and because they are getting their treat out, I click. And so they keep repeating that, right? So now I've got them hitting this with their paw. So I've got a paw behavior. So if I'm trying to teach the cat fist bump, which is usually the first one, they keep hitting it. And then all I do is I put my fist over this. So then I go like that. The cat already knows that they get the reward for hitting it. And that's just really as easy. And then I fade out the cup. So I've got so does that kind of make sense? I went through that. So I get the paw behavior using the cup. I click to let the cat know. The cat knows, oh, every time I hit the cup, I get a treat. They keep hitting the cup. And then my job is just to turn it into a fist and then fade the cup away. So
okay, so question, do they get the treat in the cup? Is that because I feel like our younger cats would immediately just grab the treat out and eat it?
So in the beginning, yes, they can. I usually click. The clicker's really fast. So usually I just go click, and then I kind of drop the treat. I click and drop the treat. So they're getting the treat from the cup. But there is that, what I call like the switcheroo, when you need the animal to understand that there's not going to be a treat in the cup anymore. So the way that I do this is I have a treat in my hand and one in the cup. So what happens is when the cat hits the cup, I click and I quickly give them a treat from my hand. So then they're like, oh, wait a second, the treat's coming from her hand now. Then they hit the cup and they get it from my hand. And we just keep doing that. And then they're like, okay, there doesn't need to be a treat in the cup anymore because it comes from her hand. So it doesn't matter. So, I mean, and that's part of why it's good to like follow the training steps, because there is that kind of, you can get stuck, right? It's not that easy. But you know, the trainer, me, is giving you a training plan to help you get through all these things. So to help you get past that, because every animal it's naturally going to be like, I don't see a treat in that cup, so I'm not going to hit it. And we have to work through it.
Right.
But there is a way to sneak that behavior out of them. Sometimes I do little stuff where I'll just pretend to put a treat in. They're like, oh, I think I'll hit it anyway. And then, you know, you can always tease one out of them, right? So sometimes you just have to be creative. But once they start learning, like people always, if you watch any of my videos, I have the treats like sitting in a cup right in front of me. And people always say, well, how come your cat doesn't just get the treats? Like, why? It's because they learn the rules of the game. And the animal learns, okay, well, I got to do this to get the treat. And once they learn that, it's just the first part. It's always the first part of them learning, like, what are we doing here? And they get suspicious, like, am I getting a treat for this? And what is this game? It's like learning a new game, right? And it just takes time.
Wow.
Have you, well, I see a question here. There was one I'm forgetting right now because I was thinking, well, what do you do if you've got a cat that's scared of the clicker sound? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah. So I just tell people to click from really far away and throw a treat in the room, and then gradually, or muffle it with, like, you can put it under your sleeve or put it in a sock, but you could shut the door and have your cat on one side and click, and then, you know, kind of toss it under the door, and then over time get a little closer, you know, that kind of thing. So
associating it with positive reinforcement.
Like desensitization would be the best word to describe that.
That was so good. I cannot say that word.
Try saying it. She just said it.
Desensitization. Desensitization.
Desensitization.
Desensitization. Yeah.
Third time's a charm. Now, what about so what if you have multiple cats? Like, we got a bunch of babies. They're going to be excited when we bring foods out. So what?
Backing up a step, do you use food puzzles with your cats?
We don't. We have a couple like treat puzzles where they have to like
hit it around,
get it out. Yeah.
And to like get a treat out, like those. Yeah.
But we don't do it consistently.
No. Okay. Well, so one option is to give one cat a puzzle to work through while you're working with the other. That's always one option. So you kind of keep one busy. And because like I do that, like I have the dog right now, I have a dog and a cat, and the dog always wants to participate too. So I kind of give her a puzzle while I'm working with Jones, and kind of vice versa. He's got a puzzle while, you know, whatever I do with her. Although she's 16 right now. So she wants just the puzzles. She's like, I don't want to do training. Give me all the puzzles. So I give her all the food puzzles and I work with Jones. So that works well. Like you can totally just give them something to do, like a food puzzle. Actually, these cups, this is really just a really easy way to keep a cat busy, is I just put like a bunch of treats in them and put them all around the room, and just
where do you get those?
Well, these ones are from, well, first of all, IKEA has like a set like these for like, I don't even know, less than $10. So anyone who goes to IKEA will find the Moolah stacking cups there. These are from Amazon. I started using these. They're made out of they're like bamboo instead of plastic. So I thought, if I'm going to refer cups, might as well do a better job. So these are bamboo. And they're on Amazon. They're called like Sprouts or something. If you find my YouTube videos, there's a link. I have a game with them, and there's a link to these ones that I like. Okay. But like something as simple as this, like I put this down for the dog while I train Jones, and she just kind of walks around, knocks them all over. just an easy game. But so yeah, that's one option. The second option is like students in a classroom, and you teach each cat to sit at their spot and wait their turn. And so each one sits on like a chair. And you can, do you know what a snuffle mat is? Like one of
No,
those.
but I want one. Snuffle mat?
A snuffle mat. So it's like a mat, and you can bury treats in it. You know those like bath mats that have little knobs,
Yes.
and you put like you can hide treats in them basically. So you can put one of those on a chair, and you can sprinkle some treats in. So your cat's sitting on a chair looking for treats, and the other cat gets a turn, and you switch. So that's like students in a classroom, right? Like, I mean, we can teach them to stay at a spot. And so that's kind of a great way. And you keep the chairs further, and you can move the chairs closer, and you can chairs are great because you can do so much with just the positions and the placements of them and stuff. And you could even have like, kind of just one cat goes on and off a chair, and then you click and treat, put the treat on the chair, and then you do the same thing with the other cat on and off the chair. And so chairs are good to warm up. I like that as well.
Wow.
Oh, that's brilliant. Jack, we're talking about you. This is gonna be
You'll have a big classroom with your cats on.
I'm already thinking we got some folding chairs in the garage. Bring those out.
Yeah.
And oh boy.
Oh, this would be so much fun.
Because it's so true. And I know there's differences in energy levels. Like you mentioned your dog is 16, and let's just have and we've got a 12-year-old and an 18-year-old now that sometimes they'll be like, oh, let's check this out. But they need the kiddos to be away. So this would be a great way too to train the kiddos, the 4 younger ones, to do something engaging and actually be able to do this kind of stuff with Oliver and Pooh Bear that they want to do.
Yeah, it's always harder to play with the older cats.
Yeah,
get them engaged because they don't want to be around the energy of the younger cat.
Too much.
They always just steal their thunder, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Trish just dropped the link here for the Amazon green sprout stacking.
Encouraging. Yes.
Oh, how exciting. Okay, so I have to ask another question though too because our Lindsay, who's also here today, hey Linz, last night she said she gave Dash, her boy Dash, a sit and then said high five, and he just sat down and gave her a high five. I was like, oh, so cool. So, but she also has a little tool like a pointer.
Yeah.
What is that?
So this is called a target stick, and so we teach the cat to touch their nose to the stick, and then we can use it like this. Could be a great way to get your cat to go up on and off the chair, because you point it to the top of the chair, and then they jump up to touch it, and then you point it on the floor so they know, oh, okay, now I got to go. So they just learn to follow it and touch it with their nose. That's the goal of this. And it makes a clicking sound. So you can click and then give them a treat for touching it with their nose. And you can teach all sorts of behaviors like spin and leg weaves and going in the backpack. So if you put the backpack and you take the tool and you put it like that, they know, oh, I got to jump up a shoulder cat. So if you've seen people doing like the cute shoulder cat, you can, so like having that tool where you can say, get up here can be really handy. And it's just a really clear signal for your cat. Like cats can learn to follow your finger target, but when they see this, they know, oh, it's training. People will say, well, how does your cat know it's training time? Well, this is a great way. This is a training tool. We are doing training. When this comes out, we are in training mode. So, getting the tools out is a good way of saying, like, we're starting your, school's in session right now. We're starting your class.
Oh, I like that a lot. I feel like that would actually probably be easy. It seems like every time I have anything, my cats want to our cats want to touch their nose to it. Like
Maybe they would. Some cats will want to play with this, unfortunately. So you have to get past that. But once you can teach them to touch it with their nose, and I show people how to do that, then you're good to go to work on lots of different behaviors with them.
Wow.
And have you found that there is a you mentioned earlier 10 to 15 minutes, at night or whatever, like. Have you noticed that cats have a certain time frame and then it's like done? Like if we're just getting started and we're working on the basics and we know that they're food motivated and we're working on a couple of things, do cats reach a level of frustration, or is there a time frame that you have found to be most optimal?
The funny thing is usually when I talk about timing, I actually talk about it for the human. The cats let's do stuff. They, you know, most cats are like, as long as they're not full, it depends on how many, you know, how much what they've eaten before and how big their treats are. For the human, I always say, oh, just do 2 or 3 minutes just to get them going. And then once they start, they'll be more motivated. It's not the cat. It's like the human who's like, oh, I don't have time for this and that sort of thing. Cats, like, you know, sure, 3 to 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Some people will say their cat will work for 15 minutes, but it's really us. Like, they're not really doing much else. As long as they're hungry, you know, they're happy to participate. Like, I could probably, I've been playing a game. Like, we're staying in this house right now that has stairs, and I've never had stairs in our house before. So I've been playing this game where I throw a treat down the stairs and Jones runs all the way down, and then he comes up and he touches the target stick with his nose. And then I throw a treat down. He's like, this is the best game ever. He loves chasing the treat down the stairs. He's happy to participate. It's how long do I actually want to sit there while he, you know, bats the treat around and throws it to the bottom of the stairs and comes all the way back up. So it's like, you know, it's more about us. So to get people engaged in training, I usually just say, you know, start with 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, twice a day, once a day. That's it. And your cat will appreciate it. But will they want to? Yeah.
Laura Lee is here, and I know that she was asking, I think she asked the question earlier. I have to go back and see, but she's a teacher. But one of her cats actually does that himself. He brings a ball to the top of the stairs, bats it around so it falls all the way down, and then he grabs it and it comes up and does it again. And I think it's so fascinating that cats really do want to not be bored. They want to find, and like you said, sometimes it's the human.
Usually it's the human.
It's a human, because the human will be like, I don't really have enough time to train my cat. So, you know, you just need to say it's just 2 minutes, really. And then when they sit down, they see their cat having fun. It's like anything that we do, you know. You just
like, okay, I don't have time for it until you like it, and then it's like, well, I can for about another 5 minutes.
This isn't so bad. Okay, we'll stay here and do this for 5 more minutes. Exactly.
I love it. Can we talk a little bit about? I know a couple of people have been asking about tools and where to get clickers and that kind of thing. Can you share some exciting news with everybody today about an awesome promotion?
So these tools are sold on the website. So that's the catschool.co website. And anyone who buys the tools gets all the training for $1 for 30 days. So you get, you can purchase, when you purchase the tools, there's an option to get inside our program. And basically what that is that all our courses are in like a membership. So you get access to all the clicker training resources, but also harness training and leash walking and solving problem behavior. And you can ask me anything, and you know, there's places to put, you can even chat with me. So it's great. It's like a great platform, and I love it. And so, yeah, you can basically try it out for 30 days for $1 and see if you like it and see if you have questions, and peruse all the information on cat training and decide if you want to stay or you just want to work on your own and follow along the YouTube videos, because we have YouTube videos as well. So the YouTube videos are great to start too, if people just want to like see what it's all about. And the platform is really good if they kind of want more help or they want more support and they want to be able to ask questions.
You've got Kalina. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I saw that she said
we use the Cat School clicker with the telescoping target, but I imagine there are a lot of options. Wait, she said something and then she was like, thank you so much, Julie.
Yes. She said it's a great platform. I'm very grateful for it. Yes. So, and I think that this is something that we got clickers years ago, and we're like, oh, we're going to do this clicker thing and train the cats, you know.
But it's
frustrating.
We
and
like,
even though you look on it really does help to have someone like you. Just made so much sense to me when you said taking a snapshot of their behavior, because as Madison asked earlier too, what if they do something that you're trying to train them to do, like sit and paw at the same time? Like, how do you, I don't know. I mean, it's just it's easy for me to be confused about the way to progress.
And there it is. Like, you know, clicker training is simple, but not easy. It's a very simple concept, but then, you start, your mind's like, well, what if my cat does this? Or what if my cat does that? And you do want to kind of tease apart that and get a good understanding of it. And, you know, I always post that I'm always learning too more about clicker training. Like, I have projects I'm working on, teaching Jones to fetch right now. And And I had someone who I wanted feedback on my training. Like, it's good to get the help because it isn't, it's not like, it can be easy if you're just trying to teach one thing like fist bump or whatever. But and then if you want to teach something a little more challenging, sometimes you might need a little bit of extra, feedback.
Right.
And I think that's important that people, like, I do see a lot of people getting on board with clicker training, which is exciting. But also sometimes they don't get necessarily all the right training. Like, one of the things I see online, which I should just mention, is people who are clicking but not giving a treat. So it's always one click equals one treat. And if you see someone who's not doing it and you start following them and you're learning not the right steps, but if you don't give a cat a treat after you click, you dilute the power of the clicker. Right. So some people will start saying, well, after the cat knows it, you don't have to give them a treat for it. And, you got to be careful with kind of where you're going with it. The sound of the clicker is a promise to your cat that they earned a reward, and you want to make sure you follow through with that. So one click equals one treat forever. Doesn't matter, but it starts to get confusing. You don't have to use the clicker once your cat knows the behavior. So that's, I think, the important thing is people need to understand that once you've taught your cat to sit or fist bump, you don't have to use the clicker anymore. It's like a teaching tool. Then you can just either decide if you want to give them a reward, or if you want to just like praise them. You don't have to reward each time. And the big concepts that are good to kind of draw back to is thinking about playing a slot machine. So when we play slot machine, we don't win every time, right? But we're excited to keep playing because of the chance of winning. So you don't have to, people always think, well, what do I do? Do I have to reward my cat all the time? You don't actually have to reward your cat all the time. You have to make them think that they're going to get a reward. Now, if you click, you do have to reward. So it gets a little bit tricky. It's not that, you do have to learn the steps properly because you want to do it right.
Well, and I love that you've offered this amazing resource for people to really kind of check out and try first.
Yeah.
We did put the link in the description so you guys can check that out.
Yeah.
And you can get the clicker, the tools,
and
the 1 month. And your website alone is such an awesome platform.
Yeah, and YouTube. I mean, like, seriously, you give out so much free information. I think it's amazing. And then to be able to take those further steps and go into depth for our kitties to really, go to the 2.0 and the 3.0 cat parent. I think that's amazing what you're offering. And very generous.
It is very generous and exciting, though. I mean, I think this is going to be a game changer for a lot of us that have always thought about it, or maybe you've already got clickers or whatever it may be, that we think that we're going to do this, and then it's hard to know how to do this.
Yeah. We're Lindsay, totally getting your tools.
Like, we're getting your tools and doing the 1 month. Lindsay, can you talk about what treats you recommend?
So I really like freeze-dried treats just because they're the single ingredient treat. So then you're just giving your cat turkey or chicken or whatever you end up buying. So those are kind of my favorite. But I also use kibble as treats. So I don't feed my cat any kibble, but I will use kibble pieces as treats because we do a lot of training. So that's like what I have right now is just like little pieces of kibble. And he's fine to work with it. So that's just part, like, the kibble's like his dessert. So he will eat, I'll use that for training. But the freeze-dried I love, but they can get a little crumbly. So that's something else when I'm doing my YouTube videos and like crumbs are going everywhere, it gets a little challenging. So if your cat loves their kibble, if you feed your cat any kibble, I would immediately turn that into their treats and not use that for their meals. I really believe that any dry food should be rewards. And then, but definitely experiment with freeze-dried treats as well. And then the other stuff that I use is the lickable treats, and I reserve anything that's unhealthy. I reserve for like the hardest stuff. So, like outdoor training, I would use the lickable churu treats for that. So I reserve that for outdoor, or nail trims. That's something I would do, like nail trims and stuff like that. So yeah, those are kind of my three go-tos. The freeze-dried is the healthiest. That's my top choice. The kibble is the cheapest. So I'll use that. And the easiest to work with because it doesn't make a mess. And then the churu for outdoors, or like the nails and stuff.
So does the size of the treat matter?
Yes, it does, because you don't want, the kibble obviously comes in different sizes, and if you're not lazy like I am, you can cut your freeze dried into tiny pieces as well or break them. But that's actually a barrier for me, is that sometimes I get lazy about cutting the treats, and I'll just start, especially with freeze dried, and I make a big mess of them. But cutting them into small, like you really don't, a good analogy is like a Smartie and us. Like think about it, the size of a Smartie and a human. And we would work for a Smartie. I would work for a Smartie.
Especially one of the white ones.
What is a Smartie?
Those Smarties, the little thing, just like colorful sugars.
Like little treats that humans, like a gummy bear, like anything for us is very small compared to the size of our bodies, right?
Right.
But so like think about that, and when you're feeding your cat, the treat doesn't really need to be very big at all. And I do see people training with treats that are way too big, and their cat's like crunching at it. It just takes up too much time. The treats need to be tiny so your cat swallows them in like a second and you can do another repetition.
Oh, I like that. I like that. And you know what's really interesting is we feed our cats freeze-dried treats in the afternoon, and sometimes we'll put them into those little indoor hunting feeders and hide it around the house so they have to taste it. But I'm thinking, but then lately we've been really lazy and we just put it on plates and they just eat it. But that is like a perfect time, because they're always, especially the young ones, they're always hungry at that time because they've already had breakfast and they're always hungry. And our treats are made by Vital Essential or Vital Cat. And they're just like kibble, but they're like the crunchy. So they're not the powdery.
Oh, okay.
They're like the crunchy.
Yeah. Look at Dana. Dana's here. She said, love the Vital Essentials freeze-dried
mini nibs. Yes, that's it.
And they're really small.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we could start doing that in the afternoon instead of.
But I also want to circle back to what you said, because I think this is brilliant, especially for a lot of people that are looking to transition. If you said, I love it, I'm going to make a snippet of it in the PSA announcement. If you're feeding kibble, stop feeding the kibble as a meal and start using it as treats. And what an exciting thing. Like that would be so motivating for so many cats.
Yeah. And it's so easy. It's like you already have this thing that your cat likes, they're perfect for training. Yeah. Why not? And they're affordable. Like, let's face it, buying freeze-dried can get expensive and stuff. So, I don't think Vital, like I'm in Canada, so I don't even know if that product exists here, but I'll have to look for it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I'll show you the link.
Yeah.
You can see if you can find
that would be great. And I always like trying different treats. I encourage people to always try, because there's something, just like you can always like circle back to stuff that you like, like a dessert gets boring for us. It's like, okay, let's try something. Variety is good for training. Yep. If you work with one treat and then you suddenly switch it up, your cat will come alive again. Like, oh, okay, this is so. I sometimes when I'm doing a long training plan, I'll switch the treat, and they're like, oh, okay, this is exciting. Let's keep going. Variety is good, and experiment with those treats, and use them strategically for the harder stuff. Reserve, for little easy skills, you can use the dry food. The intermediate is the freeze-dried, and the hardest would be, the junk food, which I really try not to use very much of.
I'm asking a personal question right now before we make sure everyone knows where to find you. Do you have in this wealth of knowledge that we get access to when we sign up, do you have anything that speaks specifically to door dashers, like training like a sit and a stay? Is that a thing with cats?
Yes, but I also try to understand like what is the reason that your cat is door dashing. And I think, if you ask your cat to sit and stay and then you close the door, you're not releasing them. So you have to be careful about that. Like, are you so like there's nuances that I like people to understand when they're doing the door dash training. And one of the things that I've been trying to encourage people, and I have to do this, I haven't even actually done this myself, is get more of an automatic feeder, like an act of God thing. Like God doesn't want you near the door. So there's all these technology things that can work really well with door dashing and those kinds of things, where you can activate it from your phone. So it dispenses a treat. So imagine you're leaving and you activate it with your phone and your cat hears, oh, there's a treat coming, and they back away. to me, that's more powerful than making the training about you at the door. Because if you always make the DoorDash, if you always are doing something where you're rewarding your cat's going to show up more at the door too. Right? Because they're like, oh, when they're leaving, I'm getting treats and I've got attention. So then they're right there, which you don't necessarily want. And then similarly, door dashing is two parts because you've got when you're leaving, but you've also got when you're coming in. You don't want them by the door, and it's hard to see. Some people won't know if their cat is there. So these technology things, like the Furbo, you can see there's like a camera. So you can actually see if your cat is by the door before you come in, and you could even use your automatic on your phone to dispense a treat, which gets them away from the door. So like that's where my mind is going with door dashing right now. It's not really going to the sit stay zone, although there might be a place for that depending on people's house setups and stuff. For example, you could do like a sit stay at the top of the stairs and then throw a treat up there. You know, so like I think there's some creativity that we can get into with door dashing, but you do want to be careful of like, because remember, behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. So if you're rewarding stuff at the door, you're really encouraging your cat to be there more. Whereas if we set up an automatic system and the cat doesn't think it has anything to do with you, it's almost better because it's, you know, but the technology, we have to also wait for technology to always kind of get to the places that we need to solve the problems that we're trying to solve. But I really like that idea more with door dashing. And if the technology and the camera allows you to see where your cat is, I think that's cool too. Cause then they're not at the door. Don't bother doing anything. You know, there's nothing to be kind of done.
Yeah. No reward. Wow.
Oh, this is very helpful. How much, and just because I feel like it just played a part in the answer to that question, and then we'll let everyone know where they can find you. How much do you see, because you went back and you are an animal behaviorist, and then you started doing this. How much does being a behaviorist really inform a kind of your courses and your approach?
Definitely a lot. I mean, and these are tough questions and problems, and I definitely like being able to draw upon a lot of knowledge to answer them because I wouldn't want, you know, to give people bad advice. And everything is complicated. Like when you start to dig deeper and what is the why behind the behavior and what are you rewarding? And like, you got to kind of make sure you're doing things right. So yeah, I do use it. I do get to use my brain for that to answer problems, to help people. And there are a lot of problems and, you know, that people have with their cats. And so it is something like, yeah, anything from like cats climbing. The funny thing is I believe every single problem does stem from not getting enough enrichment and activity. I really believe that with cats. And I don't necessarily think that's true with dogs. Like with cats, I feel like so many of them are like, okay, if you just trained your cat twice a day and took him for a leash walk, I feel like a lot of these problems would go away. Whereas like with a dog, you know, it can be, there's like things like aggression to other dogs and you're interacting with so many people, like it becomes that level of complexity. Yeah. Whereas with cats, you know, it's like a lot of them are related to boredom. Like my cat's ruining my curtains. Okay. Well, they're looking for something to do. Okay. My cat's trying to get outside. Well, they're looking for something to do. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like they want to do something. They're bored. Like,
well, so essentially, if we spent more time with our cats and engaged with our cats and training with our cats, we probably would just by default cut back on the door dashing.
Yeah, like I mean, it doesn't. The problem behavior might not magically disappear, but a lot more time your cat would be sleeping and not really getting into as many things because you're kind of like, I mean, and I think there's room. Like I try to do like, you know, play, food puzzles, leash walks, clicker training. You know, those are kind of my 4 go-to, and that seems to be enough to kind of. I have a very active cat, but like those 4 seem to keep him, you know, quite happy. I don't have any other cats, so he doesn't have playmates or anything like that. So it is a lot on me. But yeah, like there's simpler problems to solve. Whereas like with dogs, I used to, you know, deal with like he bit a skateboarder and took that biker down, and like he bit a jogger, those kinds of things.
Oh,
So when people are, like those are problems that are terrifying for some people to have to deal with.
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, that would be.
Really serious aggression, biting children, like serious, like a lot of these problems. I'm not saying that they're not important problems, but yeah, I do believe like we're lucky in a way that we have cats and we get so much enjoyment from them, but also we can probably solve a lot of their problems if we just spend more time with them.
Yeah,
I love
that so much.
All right, for everyone here, we're the best places to find you. We've got the website. That link is in the description. That's where you can get the clicker tools. That's where you can sign up for the 1 month for adults.
Yeah. All the information, everything is
all the resources.
Yeah. So the website's great. The YouTube channel is just youtube.com cat school. So you just search cat school. And the tools are also on Amazon. If people want to get them from there, that's fine as well. And they can still get the membership. They just have, for $1, they just have to send me an email and say I bought the tools on Amazon. And then I'll send you a link so that you can get the membership. So that's fine as well. So wherever they want to get them, if people want to get it off Amazon, that's fine by me too. Website, Amazon, or visit YouTube and check out the tutorials.
I love Amazon tutorials. What is there anything top of mind that we have not covered today that you feel like we should?
Well, the only other thing that we haven't really talked about is leash walking, which I think is a great thing that people. I want to encourage people to do that as well. So we do cover quite a bit of leash walking content, and I'm certainly focusing as a person who walked dogs I learned a lot about keeping animals safe on leash, and I like to transfer that knowledge to helping people with cats. So
does that mean you have, because we have been through, I would say no less than 4 different harness types, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
And we honestly we did the whole like backyard thing, and there was our neighbors made a huge like bang, and both of the cats that we were harness training at the time literally backed out their harnesses and
they were able to get out. Like the harness was still closed, but they were still able to get out, even though it seemed like it was tight. Yeah. So we were like, okay, nope.
We can't do this. We're very afraid. Does this mean that you have harnesses that
I do? So I mean, I'm an advocate for the vest style harness. So I don't know if you've tried that one, but that's the one that I love. And we have one that we carry. But I do always tell people that, there's no such thing as an escape proof harness. Right. So and that's part of what I was saying is like, I really like helping people layer safety measures. So it's not just the harness, we have multiple safety measures. And, that's part of, I think where, all the leash walking stuff needs to go is to more training. What are we doing to keep cats safe? Where are we taking them? Do you have a tracking device? Like all that kind of stuff is just, I think, really important. So that's kind of the other information that I'm going to be, there is in the program, and I'm going to be talking a lot more about is getting that leash walking to a bit more, to a higher level of safety. Because I do see a lot of stuff and, cats slipping out, and it's like people not having tracking devices on. It's like, okay, we got to do this better. And where people are taking their cats too, it's, I think we have to give it a thoughtful approach and stuff too. Like, where are we taking cats? Are we taking them to unfamiliar places? And like, how does that affect their behavior? And is that a good thing? And
first time out the door, don't take them down,
it's like a bit of a wild west with leash walking cats right now. And I want to encourage it, but like, we need to do it safely.
Right. But you have part of the resources available for that 1 month as well.
Yes. We have our leash walking, and we like the leash walking. I feel like is more like of a work in progress. So I am kind of feeling what people are asking questions about, and then kind of modifying the content. Like how many people are really worried about dogs? How many people are really worried about different triggers or stuff like that? Or for how many people is an issue to get their cat in a backpack in an emergency? Like I'm just kind of assessing what people kind of need and then I'm going to keep adding to the program. But there's definitely some content a bunch of content that I've kind of put through. But I am hoping to get more of like, what trouble are people kind of having? I feel like I've worked out a lot of that with clicker training. Like I know, okay, oh, I know you're getting stuck at that point. But with leash walking, I don't know. Everyone's got different experiences, right? Where they're taking their cats, where they live. We all live in such different places. And your experiences are also different, you know? Like you have a yard. That's great. I don't, you know, I go outside and there's a busy street out there.
Yeah, so that would freak me out. I'm excited about that though, because I really do think that, again, it's like asking basic questions about Door Dashers or like leash training. It's something that we just have not figured out a solution. Like with leash training, we have Door Dashers because we did let them outside.
Yeah.
And they love it. They want to be out there. It's so hard though and scary for us that we feel. So this is exciting.
I always do my best to help, but yeah, it is, you know, I think it's a big topic and we need to, I think it's really good to take our cats outside. But again, I also try to think of the best ways to do it myself. It's like, if I'm giving my cat clicker training, this, that, and that, then leash walking really only needs to be 10, 15 minutes. It's not me taking him to a park in a car, you know, like I really like the moderation of all the different enrichment things. So I don't have to do that much of either of them, or you don't have to go, you know, too far into everything. You know, I'm not taking him to a park. It's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. I think that's something that, you know, a lot of people think that it is overwhelming to train. It takes too much time, it takes too much effort. And I think that one of the things that really comes through today for me and probably for a lot of us is that we're talking about a couple minutes here and there that can drastically alter not just the bond that I have with my cats, but their level of enrichment and happiness, which directly correlates to their overall health as well. This is
and you can build
exciting.
upon it that way. I am so excited. Okay, guys, like seriously, click the button in the description, join us, like, and let's follow each other's stories. Like, join us. Like, we are going to start. We're.
You can use the hashtag Cat School Student as you learn. Then you can share it.
Cat School Student, hashtag Cat School Student. Use that hashtag and show us what you've got.
Show us your fist bump. Start with the fist bump. I was like, start with it easy, get a little momentum.
Yeah, that's where
get your cups, your clicker, and the fist bump, and we can all fist bump.
Yes,
Julie,
and then we're going to the chairs and
the chairs.
I know.
Oh my God. Julie, thank you so much for doing this with us today.
Thank you. It was so much fun to chat all things training.
How exciting. Well, once we get through some of the basics, we may have to have you back for like a special interview on something specific.
We could do, we have like a Does Your Cat Pass Grade 1? We can do see if your cat's passed grade 1.
Yes. Oh, that's a challenge. All right.
Here we go. That would be some fun pressure though. Be like, all right, kids, get on your chairs.
Oh my God, I can't. Like, watch, Julie.
The principal is here.
Yeah, you are. You're the principal. Okay, I love it.
I love it. Julie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you to everyone who joined in and watched. I appreciate it. And it was great chatting with you.
Likewise. You are so much fun. And thank you for being inspired to do this. I think that this is something that, you know, a lot of us want to do something and we don't really know how to go about doing it. And you have such a special skill set to help us all kind of navigate this.
And there's so few people doing it. I mean, we know, I don't know, a handful, probably 10 different dog trainers, but you're like the only one that we know now. We're lucky to say that we know now that you know, specializes in cats and cat school and cat training. So thank you so much for doing what you do and for leading all of us. And again, guys, click the link in the description here right now, and let's get started together. Let's do this. It's gonna be fun.
God, this is good.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.